I said, but the steps will be same.
Yeah, okay.
So in mathematics, when I do a function of x is equal to y plus 2, what does that mean? Any value that I substitute for y, add 2 to that, the value of x will be available to me. So what I've done by defining a function, a series of steps in which there are variables, and these variables have a relation, right? And based on this relation, when I provide an input, the output will be served. So that's functional testing. Stress testing. I'm under a lot of stress. Why does that happen?
Because we are loaded with a lot of things.
Okay. So stress testing is testing the system for a volume of activity over a period of time. So when you're running stress tests, what you're doing is you are putting stress on the system with whatever is the user activity that you define for an extended period. For example, Google is trying to do some stress tests on their application. Their normal usage is 1 million hits per hour. I'm just giving you orbit numbers. So these 1 million hits that Google is serving for the request for search, we will run that 1 million requests per hour for 6 hours, 8 hours, 20 hours, 24 hours. So what you're doing is you're stressing the system beyond its normal usage. That's called as stress test. Why do we execute stress tests? Because we want to find out if there are any problems in the system when the usage gets extended. A classic example that I refer to every time in each patch, 911. Under that condition, at 911, 90% of the communication systems just melted. Because no one tested them at those levels. AT&T network blocked. Verizon network blocked. You couldn't call anyone. Because the volume of traffic that was there on the infrastructure at that particular moment in time, no one anticipated. That's why the system just broke down, right? Then, what is performance, sir? Yeah, go ahead.
So another example, like sometimes, if there's a news about that, like ABC, go check ABC on Google, and it's on the news, everywhere. A lot of stress test is done for 1 billion, and all of a sudden you have 2 million people going on that same website and will crash.
That's right. That's absolutely right. That is why we do these kind of tests, so that we know when will the system break. For example, Macy's.com website has a business cycle.
Right.
It is entertaining a volume of traffic on a regular basis. What happens when Mother's Day comes up, Father's Day comes up, then Christmas comes up, Valentine's Day comes up? The volume of activity just spikes up. So if they do not test for those extended volumes of activity, what will happen? It will crash the website, they will lose business. If they lose business, the profitability goes down. If profitability goes down, the stock market punishes them, the stock takes a beating. Everything is interlinked.
I don't like in the performance testing only will see to that whether the system can handle that amount of pressure or that number of logins or cases.
Correct? Performance and load are load volume related testing, but they are different types of testing. Performance is when you're looking at the application returning to you in a expected response time. So how much is the user response? That's what is performance.
The time taken for that.
Page 2 provides that response. And what is load? You are subjecting the application with increased activity. So if your normal volume of activity is 1 million hits a day, you're doing 1 million, 1.25 million, 1.5 million, 1.75, 2 million, and see what's happening. That's load testing. So we will define the scope of what type of testing we need to do. Then we'll define coverage. What is coverage? Online team members, please be actively engaged. I don't hear anyone. Hello? What is coverage? We will define the coverage by identifying what we have built as a team. For example, that I gave you, PayPal. You're not testing functionality of PayPal. You're not testing functionality of DHL or UPS. You're testing what you have developed. So that's where you will define your coverage. Then method, manual or automated. Automated is running your steps that are in manual in an automation tool. Then what iterations we need to execute. Unit testing, system testing, integration testing. These are all types of testing that you will look at when you define it. Then what tools do we have to use? After we've defined that, we need to understand the exit criteria. Why do we need exit criteria? Because we want to define till when will we keep testing. Any system, whichever is built ever, is not bug free. Ever. 100% certification can never happen for any application unless it is not. There they can't have any tolerance. So this will define your fault tolerance. Fault tolerance can vary from a system to another system. For example, a trading website cannot have fault tolerance. Zero fault tolerance. You're trading trade. You cannot risk anything there. Right? Then the timeline. Why do we need a timeline? Because we meet the demand of business to launch our product. Right? And then of course we make some assumptions so that we define the assumptions, we don't make as of human beings. Right? So this is bottom line of the testing team engagement. Where they will define the scope, they will define the coverage, they will define method of testing. Any questions here? So this is where the role of QA team member will fall in one of these areas here. Now, after we have done this, now we need to build our team. How will we build our team? Hiring manager or the QA project manager or the overall project manager will initiate a dialogue. And the dialogue will be to identify resources. How will we identify resources? Based on this scope. What type of testing has to be done? What is the application technology? Right? I am working on a financial services application which is built on Java. Right? And this application needs functional testing and performance testing. That's the project level definition. This definition or request will go to HR. And we are looking for testers who have experience in testing financial applications on Java. You start the human resources. Human resources coordinates the broadcast of the request. Your vendors will get the request. Vendors will go to their sub-vendors, identify resources that qualify for the requirement that you have. They'll come back. You will then interview them. So this is the process where resume will be selected. Resume will be screened, submitted, and then interview process will start. Once interviews are done, then you will be part of the team. Once you are part of the team, you will be provided some training. And the training will be on business rules. Right? What is expected when you execute this type of stuff? What is the response? There will be some training that you will be provided on the application. All this is coordinated by the QA manager. The QA manager is responsible for floating the requirements, getting the staff appropriated and selected, train the staff, and have the team ready as soon as the application is available for quality assurance. Any questions here? Online team members, any questions here?
No.
Are you clear with what we have done here so far?
Ashish, this is Reena here. Can you please tell me what is exit criteria?
Exit criteria, okay. Exit criteria basically defines what will be your final goal of the effort that you have. Reena.
Okay.
Exit criteria is we will keep testing till we have 99% of the functionality working correct. Right? Does that help?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next segment of this, where we have now created our team and we need to start working on how we want to approach. Next thing after we have created the team will be our test plan. Why do we need a plan? Anyone? Why do we need a plan for anything? Online team members, anyone, why do we need a plan?
To write all the requirements.
Break down entire activity into well-coordinated steps. Right? If you have to have a get-together, do you plan a party? Yes, you do. And what do you do in planning? I identify my guests. I identify my food. How do I coordinate my food? How do I manage the parking for all these guests? What time they will come in? When they will go out? What will happen to the cleaning services? Do I need to hire a banquet? All these are aspects of the plan. Similarly, when you want to build a plan for testing, you have various aspects that you need to worry about. We've already defined the scope earlier, what we are testing, how we are testing, all that is done. But now, we are now building a test plan at what is going to happen, when is it going to happen, how is it going to happen, who is going to do it, and how it will be done. What, when, where, who, and how will be defined in your test plan. You create a plan. Plan is something that you can change in course of time for making corrections or amendments. Plan is not something that is set in stone. Is everyone in agreement with this?
Yep.
So what we have to do here is to define a plan. And what does the plan do for me? It will tell me what, when, where, how, and who of each aspect. So when we talk about a test plan, we look at requirements. From the requirements, we'll identify what scenarios are required. What is a scenario? Scenario is a use case. A valid user can access the system. Invalid user cannot access the system. 3 invalid attempts will block the user. Right? A user cannot draw more than amount of money in the bank. It has to be less than the minimum expected. Right? So there are various aspects of requirements that we need to meet. So that will be from your scenarios. Each of these scenarios will have a test case associated with it. A valid user has access. You'll have a valid user ID, valid password. You will try for multiple users and multiple passwords to access the system. Then you will define your test steps. What is a test step? The step that the user, the testing user, the test engineer will follow. All that is part of your test plan. Then, when you have created your scenarios, you will now, in these scenarios, define in your test cases what are the steps and what is the expected result. Because remember, testing is to hold confirmation of system working as expected. You need expected results as well. When you are looking at expected results, you will validate your assumptions, because your assumptions are a valid user has access to the system and can send an email. All that will be validated across steps, right? So that's the detailed test plan. This test plan aspect that you're looking at here is managed in a